Hey, this is Harrison Page, Joshua from the movie Lionheart. Be sure to tune in to the Justin Harvey Show with, you guessed it, Justin Harvey.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Harvey here from the Justin Harvey Show, and I am very pleased to have a spectacular guest with me this evening. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to speak to this man, but he's a wonderful man, and I grew up watching him, and I want to welcome Harrison Page to the show. I grew up watching him in Lionheart. A lot of you would know him as the manager, Joshua, for Jean-Claude Van Damme. So welcome to the show, sir. I'm glad to have you.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
So tell us right from the get-go, how did you get involved with, Shelton Lettich and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Lionheart?
Well, you know what? How that happened was kind of, I don't want to say luck, but it was something that was I would consider to be, fate, because Sheldon and I actually met some years before we started filming, but I don't think Sheldon was doing very much directing at that time. I had done a couple of television series, but we met as a matter of fact, we met in a country western kind of, I guess it was a club or something or another, and we were doing line dancing, and a friend of mine who was a comedian at the time introduced me to Sheldon, and Sheldon said, he didn't know whether I'd done a lot of movies or not, and I told him I'd done a lot of television, and then skip forward, it's, say, about 10 years later, which is about 1989, and I was called to go and meet with him on this Lionheart picture, and he was impressed by what I did, and, I went and I did the part, and it turned out great. He liked it, and everybody in the crew liked it, and from what I hear, the film has been extremely popular out of the country, in Europe and in England and all over, and it made a lot of money, so everybody's really happy with it. It turned out great. I mean, I got the part because I really went in and they thought a very good reading. I mean, a damn good reading, and that was the key to the whole thing.
Oh well, and I do know that I was lucky enough to actually find a rare copy online and watch it on YouTube, but I actually got to watch Lionheart, but it was actually titled Leon, which there was a lot of stuff that was cut out of the American version, so I'm glad that I got to see that version as well, but it was actually dubbed in English, and I got to see parts that weren't actually in the American version. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think first Blu-ray, Sheldon and I went to Germany to promote that one. And I saw it in Germany. I don't know whether, it was so long since I'd seen it that I didn't know whether anything was cut out or not. But if you say it was cut out of the Blu-ray, then I think I must have missed it. But what I did see there in Germany was the audiences in Germany were incredible. They just loved this film. And I wasn't expecting that kind of reception for it. I was in it, so I was a bit subjective, and did not know at all that it was going to make that much noise.
So you didn't know it was going to be a cult classic when you signed on, obviously, I'm sure.
I had no idea whatsoever. How could I know? You just, as an actor, you go in, you do your work, and after that, you're done with it. So, and even in terms of editing, you don't, as an actor, you have nothing to do with that. So, you just do your work, and that's it. You go to the next job.
Yeah, and I tell you what, sir, what would be great is I keep seeing all the time Jean-Claude Van Damme posting about doing Lionheart 2 finally after all these years. It would be great to see the return of Joshua in Lionheart 2.
Well, my feeling about that is I don't know if you can have a Lionheart 2 without Joshua. I don't, because that whole kind of relationship between myself and him, it brought in the female audience a lot because of that friendship. Because yes, it was martial arts, but it was more of a love story between the two of those guys. So I don't know if you can do a Lionheart without that love story.
Absolutely. I mean, the only thing that I think I wish that the film would have touched on a little bit more is like you took Jean-Claude Van Damme to meet the main lady, as I will call her. She's like the psych promoter, and at the end of the film, close to it, she says to you, "Are you having doubts about your boy?" And you say, "No, I'm just remembering the way you did me." It would be cool if there would have been like a flashback on exactly what happened to Joshua.
Oh, that would have been good. That would have been real good. But at the end of the film, go ahead.
Yeah, because that kind of gives me the idea that Joshua was a fighter, just like Jean-Claude Van Damme in the circuit, obviously, and somehow he got screwed over and got hurt.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I have had a few people say they wish they would have known what it was. What did Joshua actually do? How did that happen? And what did he do? What did she do to him?
Yeah.
You got a good point there.
So that would have been awesome. And I gotta say, for your character, I loved your character because your character was comical. I mean, I loved it. I mean, you were just so funny. It was hilarious. Yeah,
well, humor. You don't want to do a lot of, when you do drama, you want to make sure there's an ingredient of humor there. Otherwise, it doesn't really work that well. So you got to have somebody who has humor. That was what was so good about that pairing, is that he was Jean-Claude's character was extremely serious and intense, and my character was serious, but he had all this humor, which sometimes annoyed Jean-Claude's character. I think that works because that creates that dichotomy, if you will, and that kind of opposites attract, and they're interesting to watch together, and conflict. So if, like you said before, if there's a second one, I heard about that too. I heard about the fact that there might be a second one, but I've not. No one has said anything to me about it. So.
Yeah, I think Jean-Claude Van Damme is working on it, or working on the idea after all these years. But like I said, it's not a true Lionheart without Joshua in mind.
No, I don't think so. It's got to be something else. It's got to be another name.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would like to see, after all these years, what Joshua is doing, and is Leon and Joshua still tight? Because at the end of the movie, you actually bet against him, and I wonder if there's, if there would be any anger, between you two because of that.
Yeah, well, we kind of finished that at the end of that, because at the end, if you remember the film, those two guys took him away, and then they let him go, and he came back, and I went out to greet him. So we were in pretty good shape after the movie, and it ended on that. I mean, I remember camera pulling back on us, hugging and embracing and stuff. So obviously they still were in good shape together by the end of the film.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what you were trying to do, your character, you were just trying to kind of give Van Damme an out and protect him, and just make sure he didn't get hurt, and then make sure y'all had money in the process. I think that's what that was about. It was more about protection than anything else.
Yeah, it seemed to be.
So,
yeah.
But and I also discovered that you were in one of my favorite TV shows. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like working on Grey's Anatomy and working with that cast as well?
Oh, Grey's Anatomy, yeah. Yeah, Grey's Anatomy, yeah, I did that. That was back, I believe, a few years ago. I did an episode of it, and the character was supposedly, had Alzheimer's and was not sure of what his footing. And it's interesting because that particular episode is very kind of controversial because there was a thing where he doesn't recognize his own wife, and he recognized the woman that he's been in the rehabilitation place with, because he's been there. I mean, a person who has Alzheimer's cannot remember. As a matter of fact, remember, our ex-president here in the United States of America had Alzheimer's, and he had a lot of problems with it, Ronald Reagan. And he couldn't remember what to say to people, and his wife had to talk for him. So Alzheimer's, you don't remember. I had to explain this to a lot of people. I said, with Alzheimer's, you don't remember what happened 2 minutes ago because it eats away at your memory. So it was an interesting piece and an interesting experience on that show. And what I hear, it's been playing a lot, that particular episode, everywhere. I mean, I'm always surprised at that.
Yeah. And as I was doing some research, I'm happy to say that I've noticed that me and you have a couple mutual friends. Muhammad Kesey, he's a great guy, and then I consider Haskell Von Anderson a friend of mine. He's really cool. Have you ever worked with Haskell on any projects?
No, we haven't. We've never really worked together. He did, I think, of Van Damme's film, one of his first movies. I've forgotten what the name of it is.
Kickboxer, sir.
Kickboxer, yeah. He and I haven't worked together, but I know him very well, and we've kind of lost touch in the last few years. I used to see a lot more of him. I don't know what he's doing right now. But so you're right about him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, and I want to take this time really quick to thank Muhammad Kesey for helping me contact you, because I was doing everything in my power to get a hold of you, sir. And I spoke to Muhammad, and he said I'll talk to him and see what I can do. And I just wanted to thank Muhammad Kesey really quick for making this happen.
That's okay. Yeah, we know him, and we know him here as Michel. But he told me, as a matter of fact, I saw him a couple of nights ago, and he was telling me about the differences in the names and stuff. In the Middle East, he's Muhammad. Here, he's Michel. So, he's a good. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that he put us together. It was nice for him to do that. He called me up and he said, "Would you do this for me?" I said, "Of course I'll do it." So.
That's amazing, sir. Because like I said, I've wanted to do this for many, many years, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with my background. I've got a disability, but I don't let it stop me whatsoever. I'm a lot like Joshua. I kick ass.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. The kick ass thing, I like that.
Yeah. So that's always been my mantra, to kick ass and keep going, because if someone like me can be in a wheelchair 100% of the time and doing what they do, then damn right I kick ass.
All right.
So.
Yeah. As you mentioned it, I mean, I've been an actor in the business for almost 50 years. I've done a lot over the years. One of the things that I did that I'm still impressed with and happy with is Lionheart.
Oh yeah, I love Lionheart. It's one of my favorite films, and like I said, I do hope a sequel is made. But if the sequel is made, I hope it's done the right way.
Me too. I hope so too. We'll see, won't we?
Yeah, because that's the problem with Hollywood today, sir. I think a lot of movies are not done the right way.
Well, you can say that again. I can name a few, but I won't.
Yeah, I totally get you, because that's why I'm so sick of these remakes, to be honest, because I'm like, they're ruining my childhood.
There you go. Now, you must have been very young when you saw Lionheart for the first time, right?
Yes, sir. I was very young when I saw Lionheart for the first time because to let you know this, the first time I ever saw Bloodsport and Kickboxer, I was around 3 years old, and I was watching like Lionheart at a very young age. As a very young child, I would watch it, a lot. So.
Oh wow! Your parents let you watch Kickboxer at 3 years old?
Oh yeah! It inspired me to be a better person, to be a good fighter. When a lot of kids were playing outside and doing things that I couldn't do, I was sitting at home watching Kickboxer and Lionheart all the time.
Okay, good for you.
It was very inspiring. Instead of getting down about my disability, find something that I enjoy and go for it.
Oh wow! I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired that you don't give up. That's fantastic.
Thank you, sir. Because like I said, I told Muhammad, I said, I've been searching for this man for many, many years. I said, if he doesn't want to do an interview, that's fine. I just want him to know thank you and that I exist.
Oh, good. Good.
Because you helped shape my life, sir, with that movie. So.
Oh, that's so nice. You know what? It's interesting because I can say the same thing about a lot of people in my business that I like. There are people that I used to love to watch. And the other day I was reading a book that was written about Doris Day. And when I was in the military, as a very young man, all I used to see was Doris Day movies. And this was in the 60s. And I was influenced by her kind of innocence and stuff, and actually thought that the world out here was innocent. It wasn't, but I thought so because of her. And then there were other folks like Humphrey Bogart, Marlon Brando, a lot of people that I really appreciated. So when you say that to me, I'm really flattered that I could actually make that much difference in your life or anybody's life.
Well, you definitely have, sir, because there was times I would be down or something, and I would watch Lionheart, and it would pick me right back up. And then there was times that I watched Lionheart so much that I would have a creative mind and say, how can I actually fit into the film? And I would use my creative mind and say, this could be changed or this could be worked in. How cool would this be? So I definitely have an imagination. So.
That's very good.
So, and I got to say, one of my favorite parts of the movie is your fight scene at the phone booth. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, the phone. Oh, yeah, the phone booth thing. Yeah. I can remember that when you mentioned that we were blocking that out and rehearsing it, and I knew that the thing about it is my character. You talk about my character. My character was so familiar to me because my father was the inspiration to that character. My father was someone who stuttered. My father was very kind of New York street. He was also a musician. So he and I were estranged because he left my mother before I was born, but I met him in the interim. And he, fortunately for him and me, he actually saw me. He actually saw Lionheart. And we talked on the phone about that. He said, man, I saw you in that Lionheart. And I tell you, you remind me of somebody. I don't know who that is. It's funny. I said, well, think about it. And then look in the mirror because it's you I'm playing. He says, no, really? You play that? I didn't know that. That's what you. So it made him very proud for me to say that I was playing him or my interpretation of him.
Yeah.
So every time somebody talked to me about Joshua, I always mention that wasn't me psychologically on the screen. physically it was me, but psychologically I was playing my father.
Yeah, and in my opinion, if Sheldon Lettich really wanted to, he could totally write a backstory about Joshua, in my opinion, on what exactly happened and turn it into a whole new film. You know?
Well, you know what? Have you talked to Sheldon Lettich?
I've actually spoken to him on the phone. He's actually been on the show. He's very, very cool, very, very humble.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Well, you might want to mention that to him. He may take that in consideration.
Yeah, because I think that would be, a wonderful idea to do, because I know if Sheldon does it, it's going to be done the right way.
Mm-hmm. You're breaking up a little bit. Is everything okay there?
Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're kind of breaking up a little.
Okay, sometimes my signal is not the greatest, sometimes where I live, so.
Okay, all right.
But you also were in JAG. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Well, yeah, JAG was a result of a guest shot that I had on a show called Quantum Leap. At Quantum Leap, I played a preacher, and the producer, Don Bassario, was very, very impressed with the work that I did on that show, because I had a really kind of an emotional kind of thing that happened with the daughter and everything. He was so impressed that I was nominated for an Emmy, and we ran into each other at the Emmy Awards, and he said he approached me and said, "Listen, I really did like you on our show. We really got to do something else together." So we are probably not going to shoot for maybe another year. And I'd love to, if I'm doing something, I'd love to have you work with me. So I said, okay, I'll remember that. Sometimes people in Hollywood forget when they say stuff like that. And so I said, okay. Now, he went on to started doing JAG. He did JAG, the first season of JAG. We filmed it at Paramount. I wasn't there for the first few shows. He had other judges and stuff that were there. And I actually found out about the show, and I said, oh, wow, that's Don. So I called him, and I said, Don, remember you promised that we could work together again. And he says, oh my God, I forgot all about that. I said, yeah, I'm going to remind you of it, but you let me know. And he said, as soon as I get something that you can do, I'll call you. And, of course, I'd say about maybe 3 weeks later he called me, and that was it. And I started, it was only supposed to have been one show, just one show. And it turned out to be 3 years. Or was it 3 years? No, it turned out to be like 8 years. I'm sorry. It was 8 years of playing that part. So that's how that worked. That's how that happened.
Oh, wow. And I got to tell you, sir, I would love to see you in an episode of NCIS. I think that would be wonderful if you was in an episode of that.
Oh yeah. NCIS is his show too. So we'll see. We'll see if that ever happens.
Because I think that would be, I think that would be like a perfect fit for you. Working with NCIS. If you did that show, would you want to be a good guy, or would you want to be like the villain, like the bad guy?
I don't know. I've done so many guys who are basically good. Joshua was basically a good guy. My Quantum Leap character was basically a good guy. There was a dysfunction in the family, but he was basically a good guy. I think I'd really now like to do villains. I have never really played a villain in anything.
Yeah.
I did a show years ago called Midnight Caller, where I played a drug dealer, but even he was, he had a heart. One day I'd like to play a villain. If I can make that happen, I sure will.
Yeah, because I think that would be a lot of fun to see you switch roles into being, the bad guy, and because I believe that you could handle it. I think you could pull it off.
I think I could pull it off too. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I'm sure there's a few people don't don't believe that. I don't believe I can do it, but they haven't seen it yet, so they don't.
Yeah, how can they know if they've not seen it or not like you tried yet?
Yeah, but that's a going thing out here, is that we have people in Hollywood in key positions, I suppose, and a lot of those people think that they know about this whole kind of movie making business, and a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't know anything. They think they do, but they don't. Which is why, like you said earlier, there's these sequels to these films or remakes where they're not very interesting, and that's because there are too many people who profess that they know and they don't. And what needs to be done, it needs to be where they're really asking the public a lot more about what they want, because I think the public would tell them. So anyway, this whole thing of playing the villain would be very pleasing to do.
Oh, and like I said, I think it would be cool if, like, I was in the sequel to Lionheart and I can roll up in my wheelchair and be like, Joshua, it's time to go to the fights. You know,
oh yeah,
let's roll.
Yeah. Let's roll, baby. Let's roll. Yeah, yeah. I've like I said, I've been around this business for a very, very long time, and I will stay with it until the whole thing's over. So, because I do love to act, and I love the whole business. I write also. I'm a script writer.
Wow.
And I've also directed. I just like the whole thing, and I'm getting better at writing, and I've directed a couple of times, not as much as I'd like to. I'm getting better at that. The more I do it, I'm getting better. I kind of now understand, how filmmaking is done. So I think I got a handle on the thing a little bit.
So here soon, I'd say you'll probably be writing and doing your own movies. I'm assuming, since you're telling me that you're starting to write and things. And I think that would be great.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've been doing a lot of writing, and what I've got, my aim right now is to make my own. Because these days you can with the technology. I'm leaning towards writing. I have written a couple of scripts that I'm going to see about getting produced, and then also direct, and maybe play the lead character. I'm not sure how it's going to work out yet.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get it done. And before I wrap things up, I kind of wanted to ask you another question about Lionheart that I forgot to ask you. I forget her name, so excuse me, but the little girl that played in Lionheart, Nicole. How was she to work with the little girl? Because I know when you're working with kids, it can be very, very difficult in the business sometimes. How was it working with the little girl?
Yeah, it was terrific. That's Ashley Johnson. And as a grown-up person, she's worked. As a matter of fact, she was in a film called What Women Want, I think. Mel Gibson. She played his daughter. She was wonderful. She was sweet. She was just as sweet as she was on film. What you watched, what you saw, she was just as sweet. Her mother was there most of the time. They didn't have to have their parents with them. I had no problem with her. As a matter of fact, I was hoping that I had more scenes with her because I wanted to show actually the heart of Joshua through her. But I think we only had one little bit to do. But she was very, very, very good, and she's really smart. She was smart then, and she's smart now.
Oh wow! Because it just seemed like everybody was cast so well. I mean, it was like everybody just worked together well, and and it looked like it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing that person.
So, but before I let you go, sir, and do you have any final thoughts for my audience?
Final thoughts? I always tell people who have aspirations, it's like you were just saying, to absolutely never give up, no matter what. Those are my final words.
Those are your final words, and I want
words.
to say be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Justin Ray Harvey, and thank you for listening.